Welcome back to Veteran Claims Ambush. This is number 27. 27. Sometimes it takes a while to do these. I have to stop and do certain things, and then I continue them. Legacy Chorus, college level. This is not for entertainment. This is to let you know what you face with the VBA. As you know, I have said, just get rid of it. VBA. Give the whole job to Social Security, where you have due process rights that you do not have at the VBA or the BVA. Furthermore, at the Social Security offices, hearings are held by administrative law judges under the Federal Administrative Procedures Act. And ultimately, if you are not satisfied with the Social Security process, you can go into a U.S. District Court, which you cannot do through the VA. You end up going to an Article 1 court known as the Court of Appeals of Veterans Claims, where I have discussed one of the severe limitations, not set by the court, but set by Congress, about discovery. Let's do a quick review. There we go. You've seen this before. I keep bringing it up because it is that important. And you have seen this. If you have not looked at these two documented experiments about psychology, I don't care if you believe in psychology. If you have not looked at these, you don't understand dealing with the VA. In my experience, dealing with the federal government, you have due process rights. Most federal employees really do their job. You feel the positive effect of jobs well done by the federal government in every part of your life, every day. If you are on a boat that goes over in a storm, guess who comes to your rescue? If you fly on an airline across the country, guess who is tracking the airliner so it does not hit another airliner or other private aviation aircraft? If you go to the store and buy a can of beans, the confidence you have that the product will probably work is in part due to the federal government. I could go on and on. There are many parts of the federal government that work very well. People may argue they're overemployed, that bloat. That's not the issue. Now, get rid of VBA, give it to Social Security, take the veterans law judges. I have analyzed opinions for you and shown you how you get some excellent opinions from veterans law judges at BVA. Take them over as administrative law judges into Social Security. Boom. You don't need the Court of Appeals of Veterans Claims anymore. So then, if a veteran is not satisfied with the decision of Social Security, and there is an appeal within Social Security, then you go into a United States District Court where the federal rules of civil procedure exist. The reason the federal rules of civil procedure exist is to stop the impact of things like this. The federal rules of civil procedure are basically a collective genius of Western jurisprudence intended to enforce your due process rights. You can play that back. This is the greatest country in the world for several reasons, and one of them, there are many. You as veterans are certainly one of them. But another one is the way the United States court system works. Now listen carefully. Compared to the rest of the world, if you want perfection, you're in the wrong dimension. Heaven may come for you. But while you are on earth among people, you are living, if you are in the United States, no matter what people say about this country, in the world's great magnet to it. People want to come here in their millions. How many other countries in the world have an immigration incoming problem? So, you've seen this. I don't have to comment on that. And you've seen this. I don't need to comment on that, but take a look at that. And I decided to go back into this case a little bit. We talked about this in number 2.6. Short break while I take some steps so I can keep speaking. Okay. Sometimes I can go for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, sometimes not. Sometimes a lot less. We're back. We saw this case, citation number, etc. I wanted to touch a few more points in this number 27. Oh, this is the one that talks about cranial nerves. I wanted to show you something from 2008 that talked about cranial nerves. It's going to come up. And it's all about reinventing the wheel. You're behind the 8 ball. You are in litigation. Okay, so I talked about how it's about seeking work. I talked about cranial nerves are known to the BVA, or the VBA, certainly the BVA, but known to the VBA, Victor Bravo Alpha. They will act like, we don't know nothing. Okay, and the case continues. I wanted to point this out. VBA judges will often do a detailed history and analysis. History and analysis. Think about this. Why do they have to do that? Because Victor Bravo Alpha not only doesn't, but doesn't have the competence to do this. Remember, mathematics, biology, chemistry, physics. Within mathematics, probability, statistics, calculus. How to read medical journal articles. That's why the BVA has to do this. Because VBA effectively cannot. I may talk about decisions taken intentionally by a VBA to delete things and do other corrupt things. I've shown you cases where material was being shredded and closed and so forth. Indications of gross continuous corruption. This goes into the competence. It's not just my opinion. This whole discussion has to take place in order to try and explain what Victor Bravo Alpha was even thinking of doing. Short break. Now, in this opinion, as a teaching lesson, during the Veterans May 2008 hearing, so this is 2008, and this particular vet, in appealing a VBA denial, goes to a hearing at BVA, Board of Veterans Appeals. Why didn't he have a hearing at VBA? Why didn't the vet have a hearing at VBA? Because the law, as written by your Congress, doesn't give the vet an opportunity to do that. Now I'll give you a second reason why. You'd find out who was working on the case. You might ask a question about the record, about who is doing what, about what office is handling your claim. Do you see the problem? For VBA, if you had a hearing, somebody has to do it. A named individual. And one of the questions you would be entitled to ask would be, state your credentials to decide this claim. Well, that's why there is no hearing at VBA. I didn't mention that before because sometimes you just take things for granted that the hearing will come at BVA. You should be entitled to a hearing at Victor Bravo Alpha. Look what the Veterans Law Judge is saying. The medical records show. Imagine you're at a hearing with VBA, and you ask the VBA hearing officer, although that's an oxymoron if ever, can you read medical reports? Can you read actual medical documents? Well, of course I know I can't. This is a lawyer who specializes in an area. Now, some lawyers who do medical malpractice specialize within medical malpractice to surgical issues, and within that, to orthopedic bone injuries, or heart, or brain, or backbone, nerves. And after a while, they're not necessarily doctors. Actually, some are, but that's rare. But after a while, those lawyers can read medical reports pretty thoroughly. Abraham Lincoln had a year or two of rough and tumble school, but he was self-educated. Basically the same for George Washington. Thomas Jefferson went to a college. John Adams went to a college. Andrew Jackson had virtually no education. They were self-educated. Do you see the pattern? So what I'm saying is, who says VBA is competent? VBA. Whereas when you get here to the Board of Veterans' Appeals, these are lawyers, college graduates, then law school, who specialize in medical cases, and after a while become what is known as a quick read in medical issues and can actually read medical documents. I wanted to go back to the equipoise rule. As the evidence is at least in equipoise, the benefit of the doubt doctrine is applicable and the veteran prevails. 1990. That is still current, by the way. Who decides that? Does VBA do this? There's no requirement that they do anything. They can close files illegally. No punishment. Nothing. Let's take this one after a break. All right, I'm back. This is the old rule. It is theoretically still in place, but it's not. Okay, VA is required to notify the claimant or his rep, or her rep, about the evidence that might be required. Well, that's been replaced. They send you out to a mill, a conveyor belt, C and P examination. So if you have a brain injury, they send you to an internist. If you have environmental poisoning, they send you to an internist. Remember the old rule? Notice should be provided to a claimant before the initial unfavorable agency decision on a claim? Gone. You find out when you get the decision. So I wanted to show you that. You don't get a hearing at the VBA, but you do at BVA, because you are not allowed to know who is doing what. Short break. Okay, that's going to be it for this one. We're going to pick up with another review in number 28. But I left you with a couple of serious questions which cannot be resolved under the present law. So change the law. Get rid of Victor Bravo Alpha. Put it into Social Security. Millions of Americans, millions and millions and millions, are working under Social Security. It's already there. I've shown you the integration of Social Security with veterans' disability for veterans under the age of 65. So, once again, you really need to have a lawyer before you get involved with these people. Okay? And I am not your lawyer, and I'm not giving you legal advice. I'm educating you as to how a system works. And I have found no book or course that goes into the detail that I'm showing you. This is a legacy course. It is not for entertainment. It is meant to allow you to take knowledgeable decisions, the most important of which is consult a lawyer. And now we'll move on to the next one with a brief review, just like I did, of a case I showed you before, because I want to home in on one of the devious tactics of VBA. So the next one will be 28.